ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay, so we continue chapter 4, Bhagavad Gita chapter 4. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? The person of God had said, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. So Krishna is calling Arjuna Parantapa. You might be able to subdue your enemy, but still you can't, as in death is beyond you, or and this process of rebirth where human being or jivas forget everything. So we can't remember our past births. So however powerful we might be from material perspective, we can't overcome this rule or this law of material nature. So now Krishna is saying that by making this statement, now he's saying that his birth is different. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, by my internal energy, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. So Krishna is very clearly highlighting the difference between birth of normal jivas and his own appearance. So he's saying, I am unborn. Still I appear Sambhavami. How? By my internal energy. You appear by my external energy. I appear by my internal energy. And I appear every millennium, but in my original form, meaning not a material form, but in the transcendental form. So Krishna is unborn and his transcendental body never deteriorates. And he is the Lord of all living entities. Still he appears by his internal energy every millennium. So here mostly we have to understand what is the difference between his body and our body. So there is nothing material about Krishna's body, it's all spiritual. And we are spiritual, but our body is material. So whenever we change our body, our material body, we forget everything from the last birth. But Krishna, because he retains his transcendental body, there's no change in his transcendental body. From that logic perspective, he remembers everything. Because he appears every time, he appears in his original transcendental form. So there's no material form for Krishna, like the Mayavadis say. And Krishna's Virat Rupa is a temporary material form, just again for those materialists who cannot come to the stage of understanding the Bhagavan form of Krishna. So for them to accept Krishna's supremacy, his power, which is described in the form of Virat Rupa, is presented so that they can accept that. And then maybe slowly they can come to accepting his transcendental body. And then when do I appear? Krishna is saying, I appear, but whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, dharmasya glani, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Now, this religion basically is accepting the rules of God, of how this human society has to function. So varnashrama, and above that bhakti. So when the life of sense gratification becomes very, very predominant, to such an extent that God is literally forgotten, Krishna appears. Now, obviously, some people are saying that, okay, why Krishna has to wait till then? Why can't he appear before? Yeah, Krishna is always, he's empowering his Nityasiddha devotees, he sends representatives, he's given scriptures. All the time he's trying to help us, but when everything is given up, when everything is rejected, and adharma becomes so predominant that there is no other option but for him to come, he appears through his various incarnations. So predominant rise of religion. Now there is rise of a religion, but it's not predominant because still there are temples, still there is some piety. Still, when we go to do book distribution, at least some people at least take books. People want to still engage in some form of devotion. But when it becomes so predominant that there is primarily no religion, no sadhu, then Krishna appears. And for what? To deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. Dharma samsthapanarthaya. I appear millennium after millennium. Prahlad Maharaj says that the Lord appears in each and every species to deliver those species. So yeah, so to re-establish principles of religion again. Principles of religion means on the bodily platform varnashrama, and then on the spiritual platform bhakti. This is what is the core. And Krishna says, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material birth, but attains my eternal abode. So for this verse, Prabhupada different places writes that one who knows, one who simply knows the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and activities. Now, knowing means that completely like understanding Krishna. At one level, it could just be okay. I heard and I accepted that okay, Krishna is not material, Krishna is transcendental. Krishna's appearance and activities are all transcendental. Simply hearing and accepting. That also seems to result in this attaining Krishna's eternal abode, provided somebody takes that seriously, because once a person comes to know of the transcendent nature of Krishna, then he should engage in his bhakti. And when he engages in bhakti, then at the end of his life, he will go to Krishna's abode if he takes it up seriously. Yeah, so knowing means tattvataha, and tattvataha means accepting authority, means coming in contact with the parampara. So which means that they're serious about Krishna and Krishna bhakti. Then they will attain, Krishna is saying they'll attain my eternal abode. Now we should not take these statements as some kind of excuse or option. Like, okay, I just understand that Krishna's everything is transcendental, but I don't do anything about it. Yeah, I'm not very sure if that's going to work. Because at the end of the life, anyway, Ante Narayana Smriti, we have to remember Krishna. Now, for those who have dedicated their whole life serving Krishna, then Krishna will give that mercy at the time of death. But for others who might just be willing to just hear this and not do anything about it, it's like almost like Shantarasa. Okay, so we know, but we're not going to do anything about it. Doesn't look like he is going to achieve the eternal abode. Though the statement seems to say that, saying that if you just come to know about this, then upon leaving his body, then he'll attain eternal abode. Maybe that is also true, but those who just understand the transcendental nature of Krishna, If they still have material desires, they'll still take birth. Hmm. He is saying does not take his birth. But if he wants to take birth, then Krishna will not interfere. Hmm. So in some sense, however we see this knowing the transcendental nature of Krishna and his active appearance and activities, in some sense means accepting the path of bhakti, accepting, getting initiated, seriously pursuing this path. So because some devotees also might say, oh, I know the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and activities, but then the devotee is engaging Mishra Bhakti. So then he is not going to attain Krishna's abode because he has material desires. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So this is what it is. So in some sense, Krishna is answering in this verse, saying that uh, when we get knowledge about Krishna, what happens? We become purified. Hmm? And then they also have to be free from attachment, fear, and anger. They have to be fully absorbed in Krishna. They have to take refuge in Krishna. Then they will attain transcendental love. So this knowing we Janma Karma Mein Divyam. So then what should happen? One has to become purified, become freed from attachment, fear, anger. One has to be fully absorbed in Krishna, take shelter in Krishna. Then they will attain transcendental love. Mat bhavam. Bhava. So, so this is what has to happen when one knows the transcendental nature by my knowledge, by knowledge of me, Krishna is saying. But for this, there is prerequisite. One has to become free from attachment, fear, anger. One has to be fully absorbed in Krishna. One has to take shelter in Krishna. And by doing all this, they become purified by knowledge of Krishna. Otherwise, if one simply gets knowledge of Krishna, but they are not doing these things, then they will not get purified because they will just take it as some knowledge, right? Not for any practical application. Then they won't attain transcendental love. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So if they taking fully refuge of Krishna, then I will take care of them. If they want to do only partially, then I will reward them accordingly. And whether somebody surrenders to me fully or doesn't surrender to me at all, everyone follows my path in all respects. Because somebody who's caught up in Maya, they're also following Krishna's path only. Because eventually Maya will punish them to such an extent that they have to come to Krishna. The whole material creation is the only reason why this material creation has happened is to bring everybody to Krishna eventually. This is just a prison house, giving punishments to Jiva so that they realize and then they come to surrender to Krishna. In that sense, everyone is following Krishna's path only because all paths are laid down by Krishna only for gradual progress of some Jivas who can't directly come to Krishna and surrender. Why then they surrender? Because many in this world desire success in fruitive activities. Therefore, they worship demigods. Quickly they get results in this world. Now, quickly means doesn't necessarily mean this life only. Sometimes one might get, sometimes one might not get. Some karma kanda processes might only give results next life. But it's still quick in comparison with eternity, like such a long time. They'll get results. Because this getting results is pretty straightforward. If you know what type of worship has to be done, and if based on whatever Vedas describe, saying that you do this, you will get this, you will get that. So men will get results. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator, you should know that I am yet the non-doer. Akartaram. I am not the doer. Meaning everybody is taking their own decisions, doing their own stuff. Krishna is not the doer. Krishna is saying there is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled. So one who understands, again, Krishna has no work. He doesn't aspire for any fruits of action. Also Prabhupada says elsewhere, saying that, we offering bhoga to Krishna is not for because he is hungry. It is for our purification. So whatever we do as bhakti is not for because Krishna needs it. It's because we need it. Because by doing that, when we come to the platform of pure devotion and then we become so dear to Krishna, then it becomes mutual. Krishna loves his devotees and is ready to do anything for them. But generally, the initial process of sadhana bhakti is for our benefit, not for Krishna. So Krishna has nothing to do. So one who understands this also does not become entangled in karma. Let's see what Prabhupada writes here. Yeah. So we are only responsible. They are not ordained by the Lord. Lord is not pushing us to do these things. These are all just our desires. So accordingly, we are engaging in work. Yeah, and people want to go to heaven, and Prabhupada is saying Lord has no attraction to heaven. Yeah. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty, following in their footsteps. So Krishna is again coming back to Arjuna's doing his duty. Following in their footsteps, meaning we should understand Krishna's position. We should understand our position in relationship with Krishna, and we should just perform our duty just as a matter of duty, perform prescribed duty without attachment for results. So in the last chapter, there was more emphasis was on just perform your duty. Now there's one more emphasis. Perform your duty, also understand me. And so two things happened. Here it was only perform duty. Now it is perform duty and also develop understanding of me. Krishna is saying. Now Krishna talks about karma, karma, vikarma. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action, what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. What is this misfortune? Knowing what action is. Action binds. So once you know what action is, then you will not engage in action. So you will be free from all misfortune. Misfortune is being bound up in this material world. Intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Karmano, gahana karmano gati. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. Karmano hi api bodhavyam cha vikarmanah, akarmanascha bodhavyam. So karma, vikarma, akarma. It says gana karmano gati. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. So he's in the transcendental position because he's engaged in all sorts of activities. Because these activities are for Krishna's pleasure, it is actually inaction in action. Meaning, even though you're acting, there is no. It's actually considered as inaction. And somebody might be just sleeping and thinking, I'm not doing, but then there is still action. So doing anything for our own sense gratification is action. And doing things for the pleasure of Krishna is inaction, even though there is action. One is understood to be in full knowledge whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. Hmm. So this is akarma. This is not karma at all. So he is said by the sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Uh, so there are not going to be any reactions because he is devoid of desire. So in one sense, it is akarma because there is no reaction. Akarma also means not doing any action, but akarma also means not generating any reaction. So if we work without desire for sense gratification, then that is also, in one sense, akarma. Abandoning all attachment to results, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. Yeah, again, so same thing. No attachment. And he's satisfied with whatever comes. Independent, meaning he is not forced by situations to do certain things. He performs no fruitive action. So Krishna is explaining, saying that this akarma means you should not engage in sense gratification or not have attachment for results. Then that's also akarma. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his positions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. So if one works for the bare necessities of life, he is not affected by sinful reactions. Bare necessities of life. Okay, I just want self-preservation. That's all. So then there is no reaction. So if we are working, but we are working only for the bare necessities of life, there are no sinful reactions coming from that. Interesting. Not affected by sinful reactions. Of course, this doesn't give us prema. So there is another consideration here. So somebody who is just working for the bare necessities of life, okay, there is no karma phala. So he can get mukti, but he will not get prema. For him to get prema, he has to engage in devotion, Shravanam Kirtanam. So what should we do? We should engage in bhakti, Shravanam Kirtanam, and also we should act only for bare necessities of life. Then we are saved. Though we are doing karma, it becomes akarma because there is no sinful reactions, and we are doing bhakti. And that bhakti will impact of bhakti we will be impacted by the bhakti, will become purified, and then eventually we will also give up even this so-called action. Is not affected by sinful reactions. Now in this also, there is no sense of proprietorship, no sense of me, mine, no sense of mine. Just act for the bare necessities of life, that's all. No, this is actually, even if he has possessions, he doesn't think it belongs to him. And only bare necessities of life doesn't mean that we are trying to accumulate. See, Because he is a part and parcel of Supreme, the part played by him as a part and parcel of the whole is not his own activity, but is only being done through him by the Supreme. But for that, one has to be in the mood of being part and parcel. See, a Krishna conscious person is always dovetailed with the supreme desire, meaning he doesn't have any desire of his own. He has no desire for personal sense gratification. Whatever Krishna desires, he will do. And how do we know what Krishna desires? Whatever Guru desires. So a Krishna conscious person maintains himself by his work just to remain fit for action in transcendental loving service of the Lord, which means just self-preservation. So he is immune to all reactions of his endeavors. Like an animal, he has no proprietorship even over his own body. Hmm. A Krishna conscious person fully engaged in self-realization has very little time to falsely possess any material object. See, what is the meaning of a Krishna conscious person? Means fully engaged in self-realization. He has very little time to falsely possess any material object. And for maintaining body and soul, he does not require unfair means of accumulating money. So look at this. He has very little time. He has very little time to possess any material object. Meaning he doesn't go behind these things. If something comes by Krishna's grace, he'll just accept it. That's all. And that is Yukta Vairagya. Hmm. See, he is satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord. Free from duality and does not envy. Oh, he has, I don't have. No. He's steady in both success and failure. Never entangled. All the performing actions. So there are two levels here. One is this Muktatma. I mean, who's just doing his duty just for self-preservation. And he might not be engaging in bhakti also. But even for them, for him, there is no karmic reaction. There's no karma phala. But for a devotee who follows this path when he's doing karma and also does bhakti, for him also there is no karma. And his bhakti will bring him to the platform of actually eventually Krishna Prema, because then he will, at some point in his life, he will start engaging in full-time devotional service. See, please understand that the pure devotional service clearly says Gnana Karma Dhanavritam. Right? So, except for some activities for just self-preservation, right? Nothing else should be done. Of course, here there is one, if we follow Varnashrama, then we should not have work. If suppose somebody is still forced to work because they don't have any means for livelihood, then it's still okay. Possibly this one thing I need clarification. If somebody has a need to earn money because they can't, in ISKCON, for example, there are brahmacharis who are taken care of, right? But what about grihasthas who want to dedicate themselves, but who have to still work because they don't have, they need something for their basic maintenance. What is that? How is that considered? He's not entangled, but he's still doing actions, karma, and he's not engaging in full-time devotional service. But maintenance also may be considered as devotional service because it is for the upkeep of the body. That's what this said here, no? I read somewhere. He'll maintain himself by his work just to remain fit in action, fit for action in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Yeah, so it is said that one can maintain, but this is maybe just in the one clarification here is whether person when he finishes his responsibilities, what should he do? Still, if he has need for earning money to maintain himself, still maybe his focus is only transcendental loving service of Lord. Still, is it still considered as Kevala Bhakti? Okay, technical question. Okay, I'm not sure about that. Okay. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and is fully situated in transcendental knowledge, merged entirely into transcendence. Yeah, so who lives like this, who works in this way, his work merges entirely into transcendence. Meaning it is not material, unattached to the modes, and is fully situated in transcendental knowledge or transcendental knowledge. Whatever he does for Krishna. Therefore, all his works are technically sacrifices. So certain results of all such works certainly merge into transcendence, and one does not suffer material effects. Technically sacrifices, okay. Still, my question is whether it is considered as Kevala Bhakti. Okay, I'll stop here. Any questions, comments? So so Krishna talked about his divine position and why he appears, when he appears, etc. And then he talks about this karma action. Okay. So one more thing, he talks about knowledge of me, knowledge of Krishna with working without attachment. So previous chapter was only working without attachment, but here he says understanding my transcendental nature. So that is one more requirement here. So what will happen when somebody does that? They will get transcendental love. And then he talks about karma, akarma, vikarma. So mostly he talks about how karma becomes akarma when one is not attached to the results or one is not working for sense gratification. Then it doesn't have any results. So it becomes akarma. If he acts only for bare necessities of life. And my only question is whether that is still considered technically as Kevala Bhakti or not. Yeah, so it merges entirely into transcendence. Okay, yeah, Vamshi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, with respect to akarma, is that only devotees who are doing akarma because they do bhakti as well, or even non-devotees can also do akarma if they are not interested on the results of the
Yeah, that's what these verses are saying.
Okay. So because I was thinking that akarma is only devotees.
No, direct devotional activities are also akarma, bhakti karma, because there's no material result from there. But even if one acts without desire for result, it is akarma.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so one should work. So devotees absolutely should work with this mode, right? I mean, Karmis can work with a mood for achievement and sense gratification, etc. But devotees should absolutely work in this mood of just doing duty, not attached to results, and everything, and doing just for bare necessities of life, and being Krishna conscious, using everything, whatever they have in Krishna's service, some or the other. That has to be done for devotees who still have to work for their maintenance.
Okay, Prabhu, understood.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay, so mostly we'll not have class tomorrow because it's only as Bhakti Vikas Maharaj is here, so might have some services. So then we will continue on from Monday. So we'll continue from here. Okay, thank you very much for joining. भगवद गीता की जय, जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय समेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna, Prabhu. Pranam.
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी प्रणाम।
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा।
प्रभु प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्णा। प्रणाम to everybody.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna. Pranam. Okay, I'll disconnect.